Let it go. Let it be. Let it roll.
Hello, everyone. Yate, thank you all for being with us this evening. We are the monthly Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle event tonight. I would like to take this moment to honor the ancestors of these lands we are residing on here in Ogapoge Owinge, also known as Santa Fe. Thank you all for beaming in as well. And I'd like to acknowledge all your ancestors as well. Tonight we have a wonderful guest who is our Santa Fean who has been playing all over the state and all over the world with her beautiful music, Nacha Mendez. Nacha is a singer-songwriter from La Union, New Mexico. She blends traditional ranchera canción, which she learned from her grandmother, and she uses contemporary influences, performing in border towns with her cousins, the Black Brothers. That shaped her unique style. An enrolled member of the Cheyenne Ende Nation, also a band of Apaches. Her music celebrates culture and resilience. So everyone, please welcome Nacha Mendez. Thank you, Nacha, for joining us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the important factors of your childhood that shaped who you are today, like your dreams and visions? Let's start with your childhood. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to be part of the Wisdom Circle and starting the new year with me on. And so, yes, so early on, I was born in Chicago. And what can I say? I didn't live there very long. I lived there till I was 6 years old because both my parents are from New Mexico. Well, my mother's from really Texas. My father's from New Mexico, but it was a border town. So it was Canutillo, which is Texas, very close to El Paso. And then my father was born in La Union, New Mexico. So they met at a dance. So they just got in the car and met at the dance. So it was very close. So I was raised in that area. So from Chicago at 6 years old, we moved to New Mexico. And then my parents were very happy because I think Chicago was too cold for them, too windy. My brother was having health issues with the cold weather there. So we moved. And that's when my career started at 6 years old, really. I grew up on a farm. And my view of the world was shaped by living on the farm, having a lot of freedom. But it wasn't until my father made me a shoebox guitar that I took to it right away. He made me a shoebox guitar and I started playing it, and my parents were like, she really likes it. Let's get her a guitar. And so once that happened, I really just took to it, and I didn't know how to play it. I just really loved it, how it felt. And then I had an accident. I cut my finger in the first grade, and I was very upset, very sad that I could no longer play the guitar that my parents had bought me. And so my mother was very persistent, and she said, we're going to find you a teacher. We're going to find you a teacher, and the right teacher who knows about your injury, and you're going to keep doing it because you love it so much. And my parents found a gentleman in Anthony, New Mexico, who was a house painter by day, but then he ran a drive-in, a movie theater drive-in at night. And he also had a large family. I mean, he had I want to say 8 kids, and they all played an instrument. The sons played an instrument, and the daughters sang and played an instrument. They all played, and so they were like a mariachi group. So he, Don Luis, taught me And he looked at my finger. He says, "Don't worry, we're going to work with you. You're going to learn how to play." And at that point, my finger hadn't really completely healed, but I became a very strong rhythm guitarist. And so because of the way my finger is shaped, it's kind of curved inward, so it gets stuck in the strings. So mainly I learned how to play rhythm guitar. Okay, so there was that challenge. And then I wasn't diagnosed that I was dyslexic till years later. So I had these learning disorders and I couldn't focus, I couldn't concentrate. But my grandmother, Nacha Mendez, was a singer and guitarist. And she would come every summer from California, from Downey, California, and she would stay with us every summer. And she taught me the first songs. And it was through music that I developed confidence to sing, to be able to at least start voicing things, because everything that I read, I could not understand. I could not understand it, but it was through music that was very liberating, very freeing to be able to sing. And it was through that, through my lessons with my grandmother, my lessons with Don Luis, that I really just took to the guitar, took to singing. And those were my first experiences. And then growing up on the farm, I mean, I had a lot of freedom, a lot of time on my hands to keep up with playing guitar.
Wow, that's a compelling story. That almost sounds like a movie should be done about you, or at least documentary film, because those kinds of early beginnings make for great artists, great musicians. So as we're saying that, why don't you sing us the song?
I would love to.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, well we're all here. We're ears and eyes.
Okay, so this song is a very old song. For those of you who have seen the movie Frida and Coco, it's actually featured in these two films, so it's a very popular song. But the way I experienced this song, I had a very surreal and mystical upbringing. I mean, I can tell you stories of things that I saw, experienced, that are otherworldly. But one of the things my mother used to say to me, and I'm sure a lot of people who grew up in Mexico or northern New Mexico grew up with, you couldn't stay out late at night or beyond 5 o'clock because the weeping woman, La Llorona, would come and get you.
Oh.
So this is a song I'm going to do.
Okay, I'm going to step off and I'm going to enjoy the music. Thank you.
All right.
Todos me dicen negro, llorona, negro, pero cariñoso. Todos me dicen el negro, llorona, negro, pero cariñoso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona, picante, pero sabroso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona, picante, pero sabroso. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona de azul celeste. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona de azul celeste. Y aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. Y aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. no me ven llorar. Dicen que no tengo duelo y llorona, porque no me ven llorar. Hay muertos que no hacen ruido y llorona, y es más grande su pena. Hay muertos que no hacen ruido y llorona, y es más grande su pena. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Salías del templo un día, llorona, cuando al pasar yo te vi. Hermoso huipil llevabas, llorona, que la Virgen te creí. Hermoso rebozo llevabas, llorona, que la Virgen de Guadalupe te creí. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona de ayer y hoy. Ay, de mi llorona, llorona de ayer y hoy. Ayer maravilla fue llorona, y ahora mi sombra soy. Ayer maravilla fue llorona, y ahora mi sombra
Woohoo! Wow! Oh my gosh, that was just, I've heard that song so many times since I came to Santa Fe in 1987, and this is a very unique version of it that I've heard. I've heard it for years and years and years, and oh, thank you so much. That's absolutely.
Thank you. It's a very, very epic song. I've often discovered many, many verses, but I don't do all of the verses. So
Yeah, it's kind of like that Leonard Cohen song, Hallelujah. It's, you know, I don't even know how many verses that is, but most people just do 3 or 4. In fact, Elena does a version of Hallelujah, and she does good justice to it too. So, well, thank you very much for sharing that music. And of course, you're welcome to play more if you like. But before anything else, I still want us to get to know you more. So, who are some of your musical and artistic influences, and what kind of resources did you have in your young formative years? Because I know artists and musicians, they have certain people that really influence their art, you know, so whether it's painting or any kind of art, do you want to talk about who influenced you and what styles?
Well, with my family, my grandmother, Nacha, influenced me. And so she taught me the traditional Mexican canción, rancheras, corridos, that type of music. So she was a major influence. And then my father was mostly a visual artist. He was a folk artist. So he would make things, he would carve, he would do wonderful things with his hands and make things. So I learned a lot from him. Musically, it was the radio that really inspired me, because I would listen to, at that time, it's still available, FM radio. I listened to a lot of FM radio, and specifically the university stations always had the coolest programming. So I would listen to the, freeform shows, or people who had specialty shows. And that's how I got inspired. But some of the artists that I would listen to, because of their challenging arrangements, it just really piqued my interest. Because they did different things. Like Joni Mitchell, for instance, was a major influence. She did different things with her guitar, even tuned it differently, played different sort of jazz progressions. And then there was the other artist who I loved, because she did a lot of things with timing, how she changed her timing. She would be playing a certain time thing, and then she would take off on another, that was Laura Nyro. And I thought, Laura Nyro, oh my God. So these two women really influenced how I approached songwriting, not so much guitar playing, but songwriting. Like, oh, I'm going to add this chord there, but then I'm going to change it to this chord. So they were very, very inspiring.
It's amazing that those are your influences. I listened to Joni Mitchell at a young age, and I liked it, but I don't think I was at a place in my mind where I was thinking about the form and the style or anything like that until much later, when I became a musician, if you will. Then I started going, wow, that's interesting what she's doing, that little chord progression she's throwing in there. And we have a sister here tonight, Lori Jarsky, who plays that way. She's just throws a lot of melodies into a simple C chord and just does like 7 or 10 different things with her little finger going over. And it's like, whoa, I want to play like that when I grow up. So can you talk about music theory or training, if you had any in that? And for the people that are watching tonight, we got some Indigenous musicians, young up and coming musicians watching the show tonight. Can you talk about how to get a concept of music theory, perhaps if the teacher is not right there? How do you learn that?
Sure.
Triads and stuff like that.
Okay, so my first teachers were, of course, my grandmother, who just taught me, just say, okay, this is how you form your chord on the guitar. That's how she taught me. And then there was Don Luis, who was the mariachi person who taught me guitar. But I learned his style. It like everything was in Spanish. Like he'd say, this is fa, this is sol, this is re, so I learned the chords in Spanish, and then that's how I learned. Once I got to high school, I was very interested in singing. I was still very, very dyslexic. I couldn't talk. I would sweat when anybody asked me to go out in the hallway and see what time it was, because I couldn't even tell time. Because I was like, what am I looking at? What does it mean? And so there was one teacher who took me under her wing, and that was our choir teacher, Ruth Madrigal. And Ruth knew that I had this learning disorder, this dyslexia, and she knew that I couldn't read music. But she helped me, and she'd say, well, see that note? She goes, where is it? I go, well, it's on here. And she goes, well, okay, do you know what key you're in? And I go, not really. She goes, okay, let me play it for you. So she would play me the key, and she goes, okay, so you see the next note? And I go, yeah. And for me, it was like learning was like follow the bouncing ball, because I'd see the note. I stay on that note. If it's up here, I go up high. And that's how I learned, was visually looking at the note and going, okay, now I know and then it's got this, it's a sharp, it's a flat, and that's how I learned. But it started with visually saying, okay, it's going up, it's going down. It's like, yeah, follow the bouncing ball kind of thing, And she took me under her wing, and she says, I want to have you, we're going to do a state competition, and we're going to take the band on the road, she would say, and I want you to be the lead singer. And I'd say, yeah, but I don't know how to read this music. She goes, don't worry. I'm going to give you a cassette. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it, and then I want you to learn it that way first. And then I want you to go back and start training to learn how to read the lines, because that's all you have to worry about, is learn your line. And again, it was a visual thing for me. I had to learn how each note was placed. That's how I learned. So I've been very fortunate to work with wonderful people in Santa Fe, musicians. A lot of them arrangers, a lot of them pianists, a lot of them guitarists, who have massive knowledge, who have attended universities, who have majored in music. I've worked with Melanie Mansour for years, and she's a pianist, and she knows that I have this disability, and she says, I will be the music arranger for the group, for instance, if we take it on the road. So she charts everything for the musicians. So I've been very fortunate that way. I can play with a band and say it's in the key of G, it's in the key of A. I know that much, and I know all of that, but I cannot say write a whole sheet of music. I cannot do that, because it's patience. I need patience. I need time to do that. So I would say to any musician who wants to make it a career, do it how you do it. Just if that technique works for you, then go with that. It's like, for me, it's like I learned that music was, for me personally, very liberating. So I could make it however I wanted it to be. If you just know the basics, the form, if you know the form, if you know the chords, if you know the key that you're going to play in, you're going to be fine. I was just saying to a friend, I said, yeah, there's so many singers who work with wonderful band leaders and work with wonderful arrangers. And, they know the key, they know the rhythm. If you know all the basics, you're going to be fine. That's why I have the advice I have for other musicians. Learn the form. You're going to be fine. If you don't, I would say, if it's intimidating to, have to read a sheet of music, then I would say take time for that and go to school for that, but I didn't go to school for that. I took lessons, I took voice lessons, and I would tell my teachers right off the bat, look, I have a really hard time reading this sheet music. What can we do? And they would say, well, let me play you the recording and then listen to it. And so I'm primarily ear trained. So I listen to it and then I try to play it. But as a songwriter, I do however I hear it. And again, I have to say, it's a visual thing. I see something and then I try to mimic that on the guitar, if that makes sense.
It sounds like, to me, it sounds like you've been really blessed to meet someone that can meet you where you're at and go from there and let you take the lead on your learning path and just kind of encourage you and say, look, so this is how you learn. Obviously it's visual, as you said.
Yes.
And all this other stuff is kind of like igniting dyslexia. And who knows how many Indigenous kids have been diagnosed, undiagnosed, or misdiagnosed with everything from, ADHD, dyslexia. There's a lot of left-handed natives.
Sure.
And it's just really interesting how acquisition takes place in the creative process once a person is just given the foundation. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Right. And the foundation is the key word in music. It's like you have to start with the basic foundation of a song. So it's good to have that structure. So it's good to learn rhythm, tempo, the key that you're in. Those are kind of basics, and then you can take off and improvise if you want and do it differently.
And I think that's the key right there, is the improvising.
Mm-hmm.
Once the foundation is had, then somebody can say, hey, let's do this improv jazz piece in a G. And then all these different forms of G's give everybody, that's what I like about jazz, is everybody gets a little bit of time and a little bit extra space than just a short bridge lead,
Yeah.
So gosh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like earlier with the, my finger, it's been a challenge. And then not knowing I had dyslexia, because back then in the 60s, people didn't know yet really what it was. So, and this, I'm going to kind of go into my visual arts career. So people didn't know what it was. So I would be put into classrooms for special ed because they didn't understand what was wrong with me. I didn't speak, I couldn't read, I couldn't talk, I stuttered, all of those things. They could have so they put me in special ed. However, in special ed, again, usually the teachers didn't know what to do with the special ed students, honestly. So a lot of them were developing visual skills. So they say, okay, today's drawing day. And so I ended up drawing a lot in special ed class. And even it went into high school where I drew and I did a lot of music, but I drew in high school because that's what I learned to do in special ed. to express myself. And the teacher would say, "Oh, you're not feeling great today. I see." They would sort of analyze my drawing. and so it kind of went into high school, and then my teachers would say, "Oh, that's really good. I think you should compete for this drawing contest." And that's how it started. Thank God for special ed.
As you're talking, I'm seeing visions of chords and the music notes on that stuff that's incomprehensible to most musicians that I know, anyways, that are fabulous musicians. But you see all these shapes and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, what about a story like yours and a chord like a G, and how it visually looks to you with the basic root shape of the G, not all this other stuff, but that. Mm-hmm. But then looking at that shape and thinking about art, and mm-hmm. then thinking about, is there any way to do a painting with the essence of the G?
Oh, I think so.
Sound and put it into a painting.
Yeah.
Like, this is a G chord, everybody. This is what it looks like to me. And add the colors to it and everything. Just play it and hear it and just feel it, and then just go.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I think I listen to music while I paint, and there was a period, I want to say like in the 2015, 2016, there was a period where all I was listening to was Greek music from Greece. And mostly I would hear the singers, how they were doing. And I would turn that on, and I started painting these paintings that were very sort of mythological, very mythic. And I thought, well, yeah, because the music of Greece is very mythic, tragedy, comedy, drama, so that inspired me. So I do listen to music when I paint, and that something else comes out of it,
I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't ask you to send us some pictures of your paintings so that we could see some of your work tonight, but we're going to have to find a way to see some of that work. Do you have a website we can go to? Or
I'm going to be putting up some paintings. They're on Facebook. I do have a show coming up in for Indian Market Week. It's at a new gallery here in town. And I will post that on my website and where it is. So I'll be showing a new body of work, because I haven't painted probably since last year, but now I'll have new paintings up. So, yeah.
Speaking of last year, since we all on a global scale went through a very serious pandemic that lasted for a few years, did that impact you artistically or creative in any way? Because people say, and I say, some of those deep, dark places create some of the most beautiful songs and some of the most beautiful art. I mean, listen to Johnny Cash. I mean, those are great songs, but man, some of them are super heartbreak hotels.
No, I actually didn't do a lot of music. What ended up happening was I was actually got called on a film job, like acting. And I hadn't really done any acting in many years. So out of the blue, I got a call to audition. And during COVID, I was already kind of I was going to start a food business. I was going to do like natural, organic, vegan burritos. That was going to be my business. So I sort of formed it. I started it during COVID. And I didn't do a lot of music. I did the acting job, which was nice because it was a little bit of income coming in, because I had nothing. I lost all of my gigs during COVID. It's like, okay, we can't hire you because you're a singer and you're probably going to spit it out. You're probably going to be contagious. Anyway, so, and then we were in lockdown and isolating, and it was like, okay, so I started the business of the burrito business. But then, because COVID was so scary, it was this new kind of pandemic I'd never heard of, and everybody was like, okay, what's going to happen? And then friends were passing away, you know, they were dying, and I thought that could happen to me, you know. And I thought about it. I thought about, you know, my own mortality, like that could happen to me, but I want to leave something behind, you know. And so that's when I started the scholarship. It was during COVID. I had this idea because my brother had inspired me to do that. He says, you should start a scholarship. So I started calling friends and I said, you know, I have this idea to start a scholarship and I don't know the first thing. And there were some friends who said, I have experience. I'm an arts administrator. There were like music professionals, educators. So that's how it started. And then we started our first fundraiser and it just took off. So thank God for COVID.
Right. Some good things did come. The Mother Earth got cleaned out a little bit, and the rivers got cleaned, the oceans got cleaned out, and the air quality became better. And I did see that there was some good things that happened from COVID. But as you're talking about,
it's sad to lose friends and relatives to COVID.
Oh, same.
I sometimes think that my brother had COVID and that's how he passed away. I just can't really, I don't want to go there, but he had gone to Europe. And when he came back, my brother was always asthmatic. So he had issues with breathing since he was a boy. So coming back from Europe, I thought he might have gotten it there because it was really raging in Italy and he had gone to Italy. So sometimes I think about that. I thought maybe he had the beginnings of COVID and didn't know it. Nobody knew what it was, you know.
So this scholarship for musical instruments for rural Indigenous children, for girls, can you talk to us a little bit about that, and what does the program look like? And when the children get the instruments from people's generous donations, do you instruct them? Do you give them resources? Because I know instruments are great to have, but they're also great to learn how to use. Or do they need to be showing some aptitude for talent? Can you tell us about this scholarship program you started?
Yes, it's called the Nacha Mendez Scholarship for New Mexican Girls of Color. And the age group is 8 to 15. And they can be of mixed heritage. We had, in the first year, we had a lot of Latina girls apply, and they were mostly from immigrant families. Then we had, you know, Asian American, African American young women, and Dene. And so we had like a mix of people, and we still do. Now we're in our 4th year of doing this. What happens is that they apply for the scholarship usually around March. No, in February we put the word out. In March we start getting applications in, and then a committee of musicians, professional musicians, listen to the tapes and read the recommended. They have to be recommended by a teacher. Whether it's their violin teacher or it's their vocal teacher, but they have to be recommended by a teacher. And then there's a letter of financial need. It comes from the parents. So those 3 things, a video sample, a letter from their teacher, and a letter from their parents. And then we start the process. And we you know, get together and we look at things, and, you know, it's a committee of musicians that we know. And then in May is when we award the scholarships. Now, the scholarships, we don't ask for them to itemize everything and send us an invoice and tell us how they spent their money. If, for instance, if they want to buy a laptop because they compose their music on the laptop, go right ahead, because that's your medium. That's what you use. It's specifically for their music education, for their music, what they want to do with it. And I'll tell you about the instruments in a moment. But so we award them the scholarships. Usually the scholarships are $2,500 for first place or $1,500. and then it goes down to honorable mention. And then they write us a letter the following year, and they say, we bought, I bought a bass guitar, and I bought an amp, and I bought a violin. And if the parents, for instance, have to fix the car because they need to take their young daughter to a competition or to a music lesson, go right ahead, fix the car. We're not going to come down on you and say, no, it's just for the instrument. No, it's kind of like that. We're very, we don't have like those kind of set rules of having itemized and send us how did you spend your money? No. We just award you the money and do what you will, what you need to do with it, as long as it's for your daughter and it's for young girls. We haven't opened it up to young boys yet, but we will. So then these young girls who continue are awarded an additional scholarship called the Mas Musica Award, because they say they will write back, hey, I need some help to buy this cello, and the cello is $1,000. We send them $1,000 because we have that additional program called Mas Musica. We continue to support the young girls. Even after they've won a scholarship, we continue to support them. One young girl said, I want to go to camp and I can't afford it. And my parents are going to drive me to Colorado to this music camp. So, and we ask them, how much do you need? And they'll write it in. We need $600 because the camp is this much. And my parents are going to drive me. So that's the kind of scholarship that we have. And I have to say, there's a music teacher in Las Cruces who was really excited when we opened it up to New Mexico, all over New Mexico. It's not just Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Los Alamos. And now it's all statewide. So we opened it up. So this music teacher in Las Cruces says, you're the only organization that offers scholarships to young girls for music education, for, to buy an instrument, because we've looked online and they're all scholarships for them to go to college. There's nothing for young girls to buy a violin, to take lessons or go to music camp. So she said, I think you're the only ones in the state, or maybe even nationally, who knows, who are doing this. And the reason we're doing this is partially because of me, because I started that way at 6 years old. And I got a lot of help from my parents, my family, my teachers were very supportive. I got help at that age. So I think it's a good thing to start early,
Well, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about my childhood. As you're talking about this in Saile, Arizona, that's Tsaile, which is in the middle of nowhere on the Navajo reservation. And I got a guitar. It's hanging up in the studio. And it was my first guitar that my mother got for me. And my uncle came.
How old?
I was 11 years old, and I just begged and begged and begged. And my mother was a single mother. She's with us tonight. Thank you, Mom. And she put it on layaway in Farmington, New Mexico. And she had to send checks little at a time until she paid it off. And the big day to go down and pick up the guitar. I got the guitar, but nobody to teach me. So my uncle came back from Vietnam, and he knew how to play some kind of blues. So he taught me the and then all of a sudden I was cool, man. I knew how to play guitar, but that's where it all started too. So it's just I want to say heartbreak, but heart touch, heart heal, heart smile, heart tears. What you're doing is wonderful, Nacha. Thank you for doing that, because whether a little kid's going to take that instrument and do anything or give it away or become the world's greatest musician someday, you're helping that movement. So thank you. That means so much. But as we're saying that, and you're sitting there with your beautiful guitar, I'm really tempted to ask you if you could do one more song with the one you wrote for all the different languages about love and peace. Would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
For us? I really want us to hear that.
Okay, so
Since we got all these amazing musicians online tonight.
Oh, I'm going to sing it in this order. So I'll sing it in English, Spanish, Italian, French, and then German, Greek, Hebrew, Persian, and Arabic. So I'll sing it in that order.
And then what are the lines? So
okay, so it's only one line.
Give you the
And the line is, every day I pray for peace in the world. And I just want to put it out there to the audience, the viewing audience, that if there's a language that you don't hear and it's your language that you grew up with, please write to me or get in touch with me and I will include it. I know the YouTube version has Mandarin, has Russian, has Dene, has Portuguese. So I'm not going to do those tonight because I'm going to make it short, but yeah, please get in touch with me.
Tell us the line one more time.
Oh, yes. Every day I pray for peace in the world.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Every day I pray for peace in this world. Every day I pray for peace in this world. Cada día rezo por paz en este mundo. Cada día rezo por paz en este mundo. Ogni giorno prego per la pace in questo mondo. Ogni giorno prego per la pace in questo mondo. Chaque jour j'appuie pour la paix dans le monde. Chaque jour j'appuie pour la paix dans le monde. Jeden Tag bitte ich für Frieden auf der Welt. Jeden Tag bitte ich für Frieden auf der Welt. כל יום אני מתפלל לשלום בכל המזה. כל יום אני מתפלל לשלום בכל המזה.
Coming on, babe.
This is Greek. Arabic, here we go. Kilio anabitsale asalem ildinikila. Kilio anabitsale asalem ildinikila. Persian, Haruzman, the holy gonna varedonia. Haruzman, the holy gonna varedonia.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
That was so inspiring. Just the beautiful dialects of language. And thank you so much for throwing that song in.
Thank you.
We have a sister that just put wow, crying and just some great feedback from everyone. So that's what we all need, everyone, is peace and love. Our theme this year is Ke, Whānau, and Aiga, which means family. And just before we go into our commercial break, what does this mean to you, Nacha? Does Ke mean to you? Family.
Family today for me is community. Community, friends, close friends, building on the community. I no longer have family, biological family. Both my parents passed away. My brother passed away about 6 years ago. So family for me is community, and the values that I grew up with my family were all about helping each other out. I didn't grow up in a rich family or middle class family. It was very working class, very working parents, you know. And so, but my father, he was all about community. So he would get up real early in the morning and he would make the rounds in the little small town where we grew up. He would drive and he'd load up the car with, because we lived on a farm, he would load up the car with, you know, onions and corn and, you know, zucchini, tomatoes, whatever he had, he would load up and he would distribute it in the community. Or he would trade. He would trade and say, okay, you've got these tools. Well, I'll give you a box of corn or whatever, you know, and he would trade. So I learned those values from him, that you didn't have to have money to, you know, have something. You could trade it. If you had this, that person had that. And that's how my dad was. So it was kind of like a different way to grow up, because like I said, the money that my parents did have, it went to like just to survive, to live, you know, pay the bills, you know. But everything else, my father figured out, hey, I can trade it. We've got a farm here. I've got eggs, you know, I can give those eggs away, you know. So that's how I was raised. So that, to me, that is community. It's like you help each other out, you feed each other. I think that we need more of that today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, gosh, Nacha, thank you very much. We love you. We love you. We love you. I'm going to take a break and give it to Elena. We'll come back and invite everybody in that wants to say hi to you. We've got just over 10 minutes to say hello.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Tash. And Nacha, thank you so much for that great medicine, the music, especially that last song.
Thank you.
Needing peace in the world, which, you know, as you were speaking, all I could think of was, damn, we know some great people, you know, and there's some great people online just doing really amazing things. Of why our theme this year is family, whānau, which is Māori. Family is everyone here is family. You are family. We love you. We love what we do. We see you. And so with all the programs, no differently to the Nacha Mendez Scholarship Foundation that you have, it's that give back for you to the younger generation, which is so, so important. So Nacha, thank you so much.
Thank you.
As Tash was saying, this is the commercial break time, and what is going on with Indigenous Ways? We've got this wonderful sister here, Tessima Meredith Miller. She will be blessing us next month, same time, same channel. You're not going to believe this. I get a kick out of this. She is Samoan. So we're actually related, which is really fantastic. She is a student at IAIA in studying for a Bachelor of Fine Arts and Studio Arts. Anyway, we're really excited about her coming in and sharing about her wonderful gifts that she brings into this world. So be sure to put this on the calendar. I've got a lovely fuzzy here that wants to be part of this, which is really great. Now, as you know, at our website, IndigenousWays.org, we have over 200 presenters. There you'll also find the beautiful Nacha Mendez in the next 48 hours. And so you can go there and go into our video library. Amazing, amazing presenters sharing their gifts, amazing stuff that they've been doing, whether that be through the arts, giving back to community, their tautoko, their love of who they are and why we love them so much. While you're there, if you're not already on our newsletter, please subscribe to that. And if you have a look down below, you'll see zipping across the screen our social media pages. If you're watching this on any of the social media pages or you have one, please subscribe or like them. We would really appreciate that. That would really help us. As you see tonight, we have the beautiful Mariah Garcia, who is with us down below here, and also Chris Asiano Garcia, both our ASL interpreters on making access available. We have had, this has been really fundamental for Indigenous Ways, making the accessibility, so making sure all our programs are free so everyone can attend and then accessible through language. This event, the Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle, we're very grateful for our sponsors, the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, as well as the National Endowment for the Arts for this year, where we're able to continue presenting. Starting April, we will also be going in person and doing hybrid at the Vital Spaces Theatre. That will be opening then. So if you're living in Santa Fe or if you're popping through, we'd love to see you. If not, virtually is also really, really awesome. And I want to thank our board members. We've got a couple of them on tonight. Thank you. And also all those people who have been able to give and through your kind contributions. Last week, we were on the Navajo Nation back in Lukachukai, and we have two interns this year. One is the beautiful Montana Miller. We took him up last year, and chopping wood for the beautiful Arletta, who is also online. So, hey, Arletta, we went back because she needed her outhouse, very important, fixed because there was no roof or door. And so the beautiful Montana brought his beautiful wife, who is our Wisdom Circle presenter next month, Tessma, and they a 4 foot hole in freezing cold temperatures. Probably not the best thing to do in winter, but it needed to be done. And then they fixed the roof and the door. So this little picture, I always think beautiful Lou with a view. But anyway, grateful for our intern, and we've got another intern joining us, both from the Institute of American Indian Arts. Thank you, Dr. Sheila, who is on, and welcome back into Santa Fe in the new year. And Isabel will be joining us on the back end as well. This last page before we bring everyone in, if you're able to donate and support us with the programs, here are the amazing snail mail, PayPal, Venmo, or you can go to our website on the donate page. So on that beautiful end, I'm hoping that Tash will come back. This is a time too where you can start your video if you want to come in, say hi to Nacha. We've got a few minutes, or if you're a bit shy, you can put the website. You can put it in the chat and we can ask here, hey, Dr. Annette, hola. If you want to unmute and say hi or something, while Annette's finding her mute button, I just want to give a shout out. Annette does, and her beautiful wife, Lourdes, they have vocal STEM. So you need to check that out because it's really, really amazing. Okay, Tash.
Ah, awesome. Okay, I want to say hello to a quick shout out to Annette and Lourdes. Annette and Lourdes, we need you in Santa Fe, so get here, hurry up, cook. We're waiting. Dinner's waiting. Got chicken and sweet potatoes happening.
Chicken. Yes.
Hey, sending much love. You need to know Nacha too if you don't know her.
We are blown away. We were crying. That was just loved spending this time and hearing your story, Nacha. We already heard some recordings, but just to be in this space and to be able to hear the story and to hear you play live, and we want to hear you more live in person one of these days.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you, IndigenousWays and everybody here. And Nacha, it's such an honor to listen to you, to hear your craft, your beautiful guitar, your amazing voice, your stories, the inspiration, and it's amazing because I was taking back to my childhood where my first guitar was a donation by the mayor's office because we wrote a letter. We were 9 children and we wanted to have an orchestra. So we wrote to them and said, we don't have any instruments. And these representatives show up with 2 guitars. And those were the first guitars. And so what you're doing is igniting that fire for art,
little girls,
and music, and in little girls. So I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, and I thank you for the honor of meeting you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Patty and Joanne from Traverse City, Michigan. Powerhouse Sisters, thank you for your work.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Nacha. First time we've heard you and your stories. It was really heartwarming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Patty and Joanne.
On to Lori and Lynn, our Kalamazoo Michiganders, music sound women. Thank you for being here.
That was just gorgeous, and to hear you play your songs, and also to hear how you started and your whole process. And I think I grew up in the same time frame, and I think I don't know if there's such thing as slight dyslexia, but I landed in a special ed classroom myself, and I'm thinking, what do I need to do to get out of here?
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. We love you. We got 2 minutes to go, and I want to take it to Arletta. Arletta is my best friend and Luka Chukai that taught me sign language. Arletta, would you like to sign something? We might have a frozen screen. James Wooden Lakes, what's up, brother? James Wooden Lakes, thank you for being here, brother. This is our holy man. All right, Northern Cheyenne.
Beautiful story. Absolutely amazing. So I grew up being able to hear some rhythm and some tempo. I couldn't understand the words, and the language was beyond me, but the rhythm, that's what's really important. That's what speaks to your heart. And so if you can follow that, that's what's important. And so you can make a picture out of it, and that's beautiful. Your work is absolutely stunning. Blessings, blessings.
All right, everyone, we are at the top of the hour. We love you. We love you, Mariah and Chris. Oh my gosh, you two are just our hearts. We love our interpreters. Thank you, Mariah and Chris, for making these shows so accessible for our beautiful deaf and hard of hearing, Indigenous, and all other communities. Thank you. And Nacha, A big shout out to you for your walk, your passion, and your continued perseverance in the creative, making it work. Vegan burritos, scholarships for Indigenous children, guitar playing, gigs. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, everyone.
So we're going to look forward to seeing you next month, February the 19th, with the beautiful Tessima. But
Yep.
let's give it up for the one and only Nacha Mendez!
Let it be, let it go. Let's hear your new song. Let it go, let it be, let it go. Let's hear your new song.